It's race day in Indianapolis.
The greatest auto racing course in the world.
This site has no equal in sport for drama and suspense.
33 iron steeds go roaring around the 2.5-mile oval.
A new tradition begins. The inaugural Brickyard 400.
And they are on their feet. They have never seen as many fans as we have had here in Indianapolis today.
400 miles of competition.
The famed yard of bricks.
Four-time winner of the Indianapolis 500.
Four-time winner at the Brickyard.
This is a classic battle.
A race for the lead down the backstretch. Here comes Jimmy Johnson.
Got a major crash. Something's wrong with Ernie.
Sliding down the turn 2 wall.
2, 3, 4 cars.
Dominating victory.
His second All-State 400 at the Brickyard. It's a race for the lead.
It's a drag race.
3-1.
This is a Cinderella story. Dale Earnhardt in command.
So damn proud of you guys.
This is the dream come true.
Celebrating a century of speed, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway stands tall among the world's best-known sports facilities. And for a small part of the Brickyard history, NASCAR has provided some magic moments at this famous track. A local boy made good at the first Brickyard as Jeff Gordon made history. Dale Earnhardt followed up with a popular win in '95. Dale Jarrett is a two-time winner here, and another hometown hero made it big with a victory in 2005. The defending champion of this race is Jimmy Johnson, and he is one of many drivers that have turned a Brickyard victory into a Sprint Cup championship. Today, there is a big check, a big trophy, and a championship advantage on the line. It's one of the crown jewels of NASCAR, the All-State 400 at the Brickyard.
Oh yeah, it's Indy, baby.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. It's one of the biggest stops on the tour and one of the most coveted trophies in all of motorsports. I'm John Roberts alongside of Jimmy Spencer and the gentleman who finished in the 10th place in last night's Nationwide Series race, driver number 28, Kenna Wallace.
Thank you very much. I humbly accept that. But I have a question. Jimmy Spencer, what year is it right now? What's the year?
I think it's 09.
2009.
2009?
Don't confuse him, say 09.
I'm confused, race fans. I'm confused.
That's a first.
I thought it was 1993. You know why? What's the big story? 50-year-old Mark Martin on the pole. That's not it. Qualifying fourth at 53 years old. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Oh no, that's not it. Qualifying fifth, David Rudiman at 39 years old. Hold on, is the sponsor the Geritol 400? Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Race fans, this is one of the biggest stories of the week. I mean, I think I got along. I am not peaking yet. I'm waiting for my ride offers. I'm only 45 years old. This is a big story.
You're a spring chicken.
Hey, Spencer, Jimmy Spencer is coming out of retirement. He's only 74.
That's in people years, too.
I love it. You know, think about this, Stans. In 1939, Bill France Sr., the founder of NASCAR, was a crew member here at Indy. 100 years. This track is special. But you know what's real special about it? In 7 of the 15 races we've had here, the guy has went on to win the Sprint Cup championship.
Wow.
It's not going to be any different today, Kenny. Whoever has a good day today, count on them to be a factor in Miami closing out the Sprint Cup championship.
Well, let's face it, fans, the last time we raced at the Brickyard, it was known as the tire debacle of the century. It was one of the darkest days for NASCAR as the tires just kept falling apart. 13 laps was the longest green flag run we saw, and we saw some of the best in the business get victimized by tires coming apart. But NASCAR in Goodyear responded by putting on one of the most exhaustive tire tests ever over the course of 11 months, thousands of miles, thousands of tires, and now they have come up with a tire that has made it a non-issue at this race. We now go down where the rubber hits the road and join Hermie Sadler for more on the tires. Hermie?
Well, thank you, JR. Last year was a black hour for the sport. But let's talk about why. Number one, this new car is a heavier race car. It is a higher center of gravity car, meaning the car rolls over more on these corners. So Goodyear had to come up with a different plan. The other reason why, look at this racetrack. It's actually got grooves cut in it, diamond cut grooves on the racetrack that really helps to grip. You can see here, it has not been cut, but right here, you run right on this white line, grooves cut in this racetrack. It helps with the grip, but it also was cutting the rubber off the tires into a dust. This year, the rubber is going into the racetrack and helping these guys make longer runs. Now, being that tires are not the issue, let's talk about this unique racetrack. This is turn one, only 9 degrees of banking. Guys, you fall off into this corner at 205, 206 plus miles an hour. You want to be right on this white line, not a lot of room for error. The initial start and the double file restarts shootout style will be as exciting today as they have been all year. Now, for more on this unique racetrack, let's go to my friend Wendy Venturini.
Well, the big story is not tires, thankfully. The real story today is who is going to be kissing these bricks right here at the start-finish line. This is our 16th race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Driver, crew members, and owners want to be, Rutledge, kissing the bricks. Rutledge is already here early this morning getting dirt on his face at those bricks. Rutledge, yeah. Okay, thanks, Rutledge. Rutledge did the dirty job for me today. The real story, though, points really take a back seat to today because it's the history of winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the history of winning the Brickyard 400. It's a prestigious win. Now, we had a little bit of a unique schedule this weekend. Qualifying was rain delayed till later on in the afternoon yesterday. Well, what did that mean? Our 2 practice sessions turned into one long one in the early evening yesterday. So what does that mean for the racetrack teams there and the racetrack and the teams today? Well, they had to do a little bit of looking at those tires and the setups of those race cars early in the evening last night to make adjustments for today. Now, as I said, our points on the line. We know after today there are only 7 races to the cutoff of that chase. And really, people are going to be looking at who's going to be in and who's going to be out. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. After the Chicago race with Mark Martin winning, we have one of the tightest races at the top, the 5 through 12 positions right now. But let's take a look at the championship standings headed into the Brickyard. And when you look at the top 3 in points, all 3 of those gentlemen have gone on to win championships after winning a Brickyard race.
And what I think is Tony Stewart is just so phenomenal right now. He's making everybody look bad. I mean, you know, you look at Jimmy Johnson, 200 and something points back in 3rd.
Here's where it starts to get tight, though, Kenny. 7th and 8th, they're in decent shape. Juan Pablo now, I don't know. I mean, he has done an awesome job this year. A lot of pressure on this guy. Kyle Busch, you would never figure he's 10th. Mark Martin, in, out, but here it is, Johnny. Look at this. Biffle last week drops out of the top 12.
But he is just 10 points out, and that's a couple of positions on the racetrack. Could make the difference between being in and out of the top 12.
Well, I think what makes our sport so interesting is we cannot see what's going to happen. You know, people like to predict who's going to win the World Series, who's going to win, the Super Bowl. Race fans, right now you're looking at Childress on the verge of all being out. You're looking at Matt the Brat Kenseth and Greg Biffle from Roush. Are they going to be in or out? This makes this sport exciting.
You know, I got to say something, though. You know, we saw Hermie talk about the tires and the famous Brickyard. Well, let me say this. I got a comment here. Goodyear, 31 teams, 7 tests, 11 months, 33,000 miles. You know, we're quick to say, Goodyear, you suck. Well, you know what? They didn't suck. They fixed their problem. They spent gazillions of dollars. Is that the right word?
Gazillions is the right word.
Let's give Goodyear credit. We're going to see a great race today. And thank you, Goodyear, for what you've done all year, guys.
You know how good Goodyear's done? this morning. Even Tony Stewart said Goodyear did a good job.
Wow. Yes.
So that
Yeah, we're going to see one today.
Endorsement. All right, we got a great show coming up for you from the famous Brickyard as they celebrate a centennial of racing. We'll be back with Jimmy Johnson, Juan Pablo Montoya, Mark Martin, just to name a few.
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit homedepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by Dodge. Live strong, live bold, live now. Dodge, grab life. And by Cheerios, good for the heart.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway was the first speedway to use that term, speedway in the United States. 100 years ago, it was made somewhat as a test track, and it became one of the most famous racing venues in the world. We're happy to be here covering the 16th running of the All-State 400 at the Brickyard. A little bit of news coming out of the Jeremy Mayfield saga over the week, and another court has had another ruling in this situation. NASCAR driver Jeremy Mayfield is again suspended from competition after the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals on Friday put on hold an injunction that had lifted his ban for a positive drug test. For more, go to speedtv.com, and you can keep updated on the latest developments on that story and the rest of the world of motorsports on speedtv.com. Now, for the rest of what's going on in the garage area, let's go back to Wendy Venturini.
Well, right here on the pit road area, we have the cars lined up, but let's talk about some of these cars lined up because a lot of news has been happening, starting with Kevin Harvick. The internet was reporting that Kevin Harvick wanted out of his contract. Well, Richard Childress put out a statement this week in all capital letters, which in the email world might mean that you're screaming, that Kevin Harvick and Shell Pennzoil are committed to RCR through 2010. And on another sponsorship front, we do have news that DeWalt will not be returning with Matt Kenseth and the number 17. Now, we do know that's a long-term standing sponsorship agreement with the 17 and DeWalt and Matt Kenseth, so it's going to be a little odd to see Matt Kenseth without DeWalt on the car come 2010. Well, what kind of sponsor will he have? He may take over one of those Roush Fenway sponsorships, which brings us, ironically, to the one car in Martin Truex. We reported 2 weeks ago at Chicago the news that Martin Truex would be heading over to Michael Waltrip Racing in 2010 in that number 56. Well, what does that mean for the one car? Well, Chip Ganassi has come out and said they do plan to replace the driver in the one car. Now, who will it be in the one car come next year? Rumors have been swirling around Jamie McMurray. We're not sure of that yet, and what's going to come out of that, we'll have to keep you posted on who's going to end up in that one car come next year. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. Now, we should expect at this point of the season, especially with guys in and out of the chase, they know what their fortunes are going to be for the rest of this season, that the silly season stuff should come out, Jimmy.
Well, it should, and you know the thing is that automatically they start crucifying Chip Ganassi and stuff because he's not performing. You know what? They are performing this year. They will get a sponsor. They will field two teams and really roll. Jack Roush struggling right now. I'll never count him out. Matt Kenseth will have a sponsor. They will contend for the championship this year with all three of his drivers. That's going to be Biff will get back in the top 12. They will be back stronger than ever.
One of the things that stays the same in NASCAR every year is that change comes at the end of the year. So how does an already stressed out crew chief deal with all the rumors circulating around his team? Well, for answers to that, let's check in with the guy who always gives us the good stuff, Booty Barker.
We're here at the world-famous Brickyard discussing silly season. Now, what is silly season? It's a time when drivers, crew members, crew chiefs, or sponsors decide to work on that next deal for next year. Now, this used to happen after November, after everybody got off of vacation. Everything was low-key and you had time to work on it. But with money, pressure, sponsorship, everything else coming into the sport, a few years back, it's actually moved up to the Fall Charlotte race. Nowadays, with everything we have on it, it happens at the Brickyard. You best believe in that motorhome lot and other places, there are people discussing deals or signing deals. They've already worked it out by now. So, with the crew members and everything else worried about that job next year, that doesn't distract them, does it? BS, bologna sandwich. Of course it distracts them. They're thinking about their job. They got to worry about how they're going to put groceries on the table. They're going to worry about how they're going to send their kids to college. So it does distract them. And now how do I combat that as a crew chief, keep their focus on? Actually, I'm honest with them. I try to sit them down and go, look, regardless of whether you're working here next year or somewhere else, you have to put your best foot forward. You have to have your A game. You got to show these other people or show us that you need to stay and you deserve it. So, silly season, y'all. For everybody else, it might be fun, but for us, it ain't so silly. and that's your Napa-Gusta.
Booty Barker, thanks a lot. When it comes to jobs in the garage area, nothing silly about that, but nonetheless, they're some of the best in the business at bringing those cars to the racetrack every day, and they deserve all the credit in the world. Now, one team that has been rock solid throughout the years, personnel-wise and otherwise, has been Jimmy Johnson and the number 48 team. He was one of the 7 drivers that have won a Brickyard and gone on to win the Sprint Cup Championship in the same year, and it happened in 2008.
For the 15th time, the NASCAR community has gathered here at the famed Yard of Bricks to celebrate speed and 400 miles of intense competition.
Let's start taking a look to your left here, man. Pit stall number 1. Get a big thumbs up. Let's go ahead and have some fun today. Enjoy yourself, bro.
The green flag is underway. On the front row, a past Indy winner, Jimmy Johnson, crowd on its feet as one.
Anything, I'm probably on the tight side. Driving good, comfortable. 5340, good job, bud. Nice and easy. Top 3 cars are running about the same speed right there, so you're doing fine. Real bad vibration. About to turn the tire up. We'll just get around here as fast as you can. Be fine. Boys, need a good stop here. Being out front is going to be the best thing for us today, kids.
Pit road, once again, a very busy place. Everybody's going to take advantage of this competition. Yellow.
Looking at the right rear tires, though, they are coming off these cars ugly.
Looks like garage area there by Goodyear's business is picking up. Let me know at the first sign of anybody else having trouble. 10-4.
Caution on the speedway. Problems for Matt Kenseth.
Don't go too fast. The 17 blew one and ripped the entire side of his car off. The best car on the track right there is at 99 there behind you. That's all right. Just tell them I'd like to go a little faster. Not run any harder than you have.
Jimmy Johnson, who has been the guy to beat throughout the day, will definitely loom as a threat as we get to the close of this race.
Just my honest opinion, I don't think that 48 showed what he had. I was thinking that, Steve. Yeah, he's playing the game. Yeah, I'm just cruising, trying to be smart here. 10-4.
The war of wills here in the end of this race. It is Jimmy Johnson out in front.
Jimmy Johnson will capture his second All-State 400 at the Brickyard.
You guys are the best, man. That's all there is to it. Thank you, boys. Jimmy, that was great, bud. Great job, man. Way to work it today, buddy.
And last year at the Brickyard 400, a big day for Jimmy Johnson and the 48 team. Of all your wins, man, where do these Brickyard 400 stack up? Got to be pretty special.
It's such a tough question to answer. People ask, the 500 or the 400, and both are extremely special. And it's a real tough question to answer. Last year was more special to me because it took some more time to enjoy it. And they had to drag us off the bricks when everything was said and done. I took the guys around back from Corvette for the parade lap and stuff. So last year was really cool to enjoy it that way.
A lot of talk about last year. The tire situation kind of overlooked the race, but you guys were so dominant last year, not only on the racetrack but on pit road. The same kind of stuff it's going to take to win today.
Yeah, I mean, the tires, everybody's been talking about it. They've done a phenomenal job with the tires, and I think we're going to see a great race today. It's going to be like we've seen in the past. We're going to have long runs. Fuel mileage may be an issue. It's going to be tough to pass people, but I think the double file restarts will be the exciting point of the day for all of us, and we'll see a lot of jockeying take place then. But looking forward to a great day. We've got a good race car, and we've been so close to winning a bunch of races here lately. I can't wait to get this 48 car back in victory lane.
What's it going to take to pass today? Obviously, I could tell you were disappointed after your qualifying run, but what's it going to take to pass at this racetrack? It's a tough, technical kind of racetrack.
It is. I was really mad at myself yesterday in qualifying. Car was so good through 3 and 4 coming to the green, and 1 was good. I just got a little excited getting into turn 2, a lot like a lot of the other competitors, and just lost a bunch of time. So from there, we went into race trim, and things were well for us. But I think you're going to get tight in traffic like you normally see. And a guy that can really hang on to a car loose at the start of a run is going to be strong at the end of the run. That's going to be the big deal today.
And we started asking this question this time of year for you. Is it all about winning races and getting those bonus points, or are you still worried about points? I mean, if you come down, you're second on the last lap, you got to make a move. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, if you're in the right situation where you can take a gamble and take a risk, you go for it. We did that at Michigan, and if we have that opportunity today, we'll do that again. But it's really important to score good finishes, and if you don't have that window of opportunity, no sense in trying for something that's not going to work, and try to get as many points as you can.
Well, JR, a two-time winner here in the Lowe's Chevy. He'll look for win number 3 today, and you can bet he'll be in the mix when this thing is all over.
Yeah, Hermie, thanks a lot. The 1-2 punch of Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson has accounted for 2 Brickyard wins and 3 championships, including the last 3 in a row. So there's nobody better to go to for our Sunoco pit strategy of the week than Chad Knaus.
Well, coming into the Brickyard this weekend, everybody was a little cautious about the tire, and I think that we're going to be absolutely fine. Hats off to all the teams that came up here and did the testing with Goodyear, because I think they all did a fantastic job and really brought back a great product. Now, there's going to be a little bit of twist in events now. Since this tire is actually lasting longer, I think you're going to see some green flag pit stops, and I also seem to think that you're going to have some 2-tire stops just because the fall off isn't that high. Now, you're going to have to be cautious here because you can go about 36 laps on a Sunoco fuel run, and as you're coming down pit road, if teams start taking 2 tires, pit road gets very, very congested, and you can see some accidents on pit road, so you're going to have to pay attention to that. But the one thing I can promise you, at the end of the race, track position will more than likely be key over anything else. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the event.
Thanks, Chad. It's the 5th year of the Sunoco Free Fuel 5000 exclusively at Sunoco. It's easy to participate. Simply visit any participating Sunoco station, pick up a free Sunoco decal, put it in a prominent location on your car, and visit stations on a regular basis for a chance to be spotted. For more information, visit GoSunoco.com. Now, here's a question for you. Who is the fastest over 50 driver in NASCAR? Mark Martin? Well, maybe not. We'll show you who's even faster coming up next.
His name is Juan Pablo Montoya. He won the Indy 500. Prepare to talk. The revolving door keeps churning, and more guests will push on through. Straight ahead, NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot.
Camping World Truck Series Friday night under the lights at O'Reilly Raceway Park, and it was a shootout to the finish among 2 of the best veterans in this series. Ron Hornaday in the 33 and the principal Mike Skinner in the 5, doing everything he can to catch Hornaday, but at the end there was no stopping Ron in the 33. He did what no driver has ever done before in the Camping World Truck Series, and that's win 4 races in a row, and he is on a roll halfway through this Camping World Truck Series season. Ron Hornaday has 5 wins with the 4 in a row, 11 top 10 finishes, 4 poles, 1 DNF, and now Kenny Wallace, he is your points leader.
And not just is he a great race car driver, but his age is what is catching everybody off guard. Ron Hornaday, 50-something years old, 50, and he's getting better. Spence, he's getting better like fine wine, and it's incredible. 4 wins in a row, never been done.
There's a lot of things in racing that get better with age.
It's an age weekend.
Yeah.
Mark Martin on the pole.
Cigars.
and Spencer as well. Also, what gets better with age is the Camping World Truck Series itself. You'll want to tune in next week as On Speed, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series will rock the Music City. Can Hornaday win 5 straight, or can someone break the streak and win a guitar? We hope they don't smash it. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Nashville. Welcome back to the Brickyard, everyone. You know, there's an old saying when it comes to fine dining, never trust a skinny cook. Well, Big John from Pennsylvania, we trust you, old buddy. He keeps the number 14 team in good health at the racetrack and very full bellies because they got a hard day of work ahead of them, rather. And Wendy, I hope you can check out some of that grub after we're all done here.
I'm staying away from the spaghetti and meatballs. I barely have been able to keep toast down at this point this weekend, fighting a sickness. Thankfully, Ryan, you are not fighting a sickness this weekend like you have in the past. Let's talk about this weekend, because you've started 8th or better at all your times here at Indy. Today you're starting 17th. However, on the positive side, you were the fastest in practice. So what was up with the qualifying run?
I guess didn't push the car hard enough. The car felt good, it didn't slip, it just wasn't fast enough. I really thought I was going to be quicker than my lap from practice, and it wasn't. I didn't feel the grip in the track, and didn't get the lap that I wanted with the Haas Automation Chevrolet. So got the car handling really well in race trim, and look forward to the race today. But starting 17th, we'll have to see what this tire strategy and situation is going to be like. But I think we have a car that we can work our way to the front. I just don't know how far.
looking at the tires, and they seem not to be a situation, obviously, as they were last year. So does that mean your crew chief, Tony Gibson, who I love, by the way, he's one of the greatest guys in the garage area, can he work on a little bit more strategy today that maybe we couldn't do last year?
Well, hopefully we don't have to. It's a secondary option. Hopefully the car goes to the front because we're fast, and you know, it's a big track position race. We know that, being flat and fast the way it is, and you know, the cars that are starting up front have already proven that they're fast, and we just have to get up there with that group. And then if that doesn't work, then we'll use the pit selection or pit strategy a little bit more to our benefit.
Being an Indiana native yourself, how special is it to come to Indianapolis Motor Speedway? We've heard the story about the first time you came through these doors, through the tunnel. To win here for the Brickyard 400, what would that mean for you today? I know you have family here.
Well, it's a special place, and as much family, but mostly the fans. You know, growing up in this area, racing quarter midgets, and sprint cars, and Silver Crown champion, and all that stuff, and just knowing that those fans are still here watching the race today. There's a ton of great fans here, open wheel or not, just pure auto racing fans that enjoy the Brickyard. So that makes it special for me. But for me, the 100 years of experience here with all the drivers, knowing that I'm walking in AJ Foyt and Mario Andretti and Jim Hurtubise, Mel Kenyon, those guys' footsteps, that means the most to me.
All right, good luck to Ryan Newman. He wanted to know who I was picking. I'm not giving that answer away, but he's on the list, I'll tell you that much, and whether he's going to make the cut at the end of the show, you'll have to find out. Greg Newman, his father, of course, spotting. How special would that be, Johnny, if he were to call Ryan to a victory, much like that Daytona 500 win?
Oh, that would be big, especially for the hometown fans here in Indy. But it is time now to look for our most colorful fan for M&M's, and for that, we go to Rutledge Wood.
For M&M's most colorful fan, I could have sworn this week we were at Indy, but where are we, Ryan?
Rutledge, we're actually in the backyard of the Brickyard, and this week we found Jim, who has the ultimate garage. He has his own gasoline alley. Let's go check it out.
We're at the Brickyard, apparently. Jim's Garage, Gasoline Alley. Jim, wow. Tell me about this awesome garage you've got here, man. You've got every Indy picture.
Well, I've been around racing my whole life. My father raced, my stepfather raced, my brother has been USAC champion a couple times. Just been around it my whole life. Love Indy, love the Brickyard.
You can really tell, man, you guys have so many cool pictures. Obviously a Tony Stewart fan, I saw your stuff, but you've even got a mannequin in a fire suit. You've got it all.
Well, you know, we've just been around racing our whole lives. That's actually how I met my wife, was at a racetrack. It's just been in our blood, and we've always been here.
You've heard of a man cave. You've heard of a man room. I think Jim has created an all-new term today, the man-rage, the garage for the ultimate man, and that man is Jim here at Indy.
Rutledge, that's a beautiful thing. We love to see that. For those of you who couldn't make it to Indianapolis, make sure you register at NASCAR.com. Most colorful fan for your chance to be M&M's most colorful fan of NASCAR winner. On the site, you can vote for your favorites, play the instant win game, and upload your own colorful photos for the chance to win a trip to the final race of the season at Homestead, Miami, where M&M's will crown the most colorful fan of NASCAR. He's won 4 races already this year, but what does he think about his chase chances? Stay with us, everyone, on race day. Mark the Kid Martin is coming up next.
We could do a normal history of Indy piece. We could just throw some past winners on your screen. We could let the shots speak for themselves. Or we could let Mr. Miller tell you what he thinks.
Get out of here, Miller, you're a wacko.
And maybe get a few digs in on Spencer while he's at it. The Prince of Darkness returns to give us his 2 cents. Around the Turn, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
You know, race fans, before yesterday, Jimmy Spencer was the oldest man ever to sit on a pole here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That all changed when Mark the Kid Martin did it at age 50. He will have the best view of this historic racetrack when the green flag waves in a couple of hours this afternoon. And standing by with our Hermie Sadler is Mark the Kid Martin himself. Hermie?
Yeah, standing by with Mark Martin. Mark, what a special place this is, and I know you came back to have a chance to win races. What would it mean to win this one?
Oh, it'd be big, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm just trying to, approach this race like we would any other race, and that's taking a little effort. So, but I'm working on it. I'm so lucky to be working with Alan Gustafson and everybody on this race team. Man, we're having a blast. Nobody in NASCAR having more fun than I am.
Look back a couple weeks ago at Chicagoland. What a great finish. You guys dominated that race, and it looked like it was going to get away from you at the end, but a great comeback at the end. Solid 1-2 finish for you in the 24.
It was a great run, and we made a race fan a millionaire, which was really, really cool. And, you know, we just had a blast. Such a great team effort, and I just got to say thanks to everybody, Rick Hendrick and everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, and especially my teammates, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Gordon have been incredibly supportive, and hopefully one of us can get it today.
Well, you're starting up front today. How would you call in race trim? And this racetrack, tires are not an issue. It's going to be about handling and track position and the normal stuff. How's your car?
My car's pretty good. The last run we made was very, very respectable, so I was happy with it. Up until that point, we needed to make some improvement, but it's pretty strong right now. We'll see what today's like. You know, every day seems to be a different day, but we're excited about going racing.
Last thing, you probably don't want to talk about this, but you're the oldest, youngest person to win a pole here. You beat one of our guys on race day, Jimmy Spencer, who held the record before that. Any words of advice for Jimmy? Should he be making a comeback?
Hey, man, you can do it, Jimmy. Come on.
What he said before we came on camera, Jimmy, Mark said, if you lose 100 pounds, then you can do it. That's what he said, but he didn't want to say it on the air.
I've raced with Mark Martin many times. I respect him the most. Mark, good luck today, baby. I'm pulling for you, man.
All right, good luck, Mark. Appreciate you joining us today, and have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, that's Mark Martin. Let's go to Wendy Venturini.
Well, thanks, Hermie. I'm with Denny Hamlin here in the Motor Coach lot. Now, Denny, your race car really has picked up some speed, but at the beginning of the weekend, it seemed like you guys were having a little bit of a pickup issue. Is that a concern at all for today's race?
We had some kind of fuel issue. I don't think anyone really knows yet what's going on with it, but yeah, just car cutting off a little bit on corner exits up until really the final practice, and we kept making gains. It took a little while to kind of get the speed up to what the other guys had because we were one of the few teams that didn't test here. But I tell you, I think our FedEx office car was pretty strong once we ended.
I know everybody's looking at you to do good today. Now, 5th in points coming into this weekend. What would a win do to your season at this point? After this, we'll have 7 races to that chase cutoff.
It'd be big for us. I mean, it leapfrog us, you know, probably 3 or 4 positions in the point standings leading once the chase starts. But not only that, but it's good for the team. You know, I'm sure they want to win. You know, nobody wants to win more than I do on that racetrack, and we've been close the last few weeks. We've been in position with a couple laps to go. Just things haven't worked out. But you know, with the double file restart, it's going to be very interesting at the end, see how it all pans out.
Now, starting where you are, what is the strategy for today's race? We're not concerned about tires like we were in the past, so what can we expect out of the 11 and out of you?
Go to the front pretty quick. You know, we're going to take our time, obviously, and not take any chances. But you know, this is one of the few racetracks where I think most everyone's going to take the points and throw them out the window and go for a race win because it's so prestigious here. So, you know, I'm going to take my time, but with 50 or 60 to go, I need to be in the top 2 or 3 spots.
All right, good luck to Denny Hamlin. Not only would a win be good for his season in 2009, but a win at the Brickyard would be really special. Johnny?
Wendy, thanks a lot. And the specialness of that trophy and the win here at Indy could make guys do something that they wouldn't normally do when it comes down to the end of this race. You can throw the points away because everybody wants to say they're a winner at the Brickyard.
This is Rutledge Wood. Join me and the speed team at Michigan International Speedway this August in the new Speed Zone. Turn 1 seats are going for $45. Supplies are limited, so act fast. Call 800-354-1010 or visit mispeedway.com to purchase.
It's the Centennial Summer at the Brickyard, where they're celebrating a century of speed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We always see history when we come to this racetrack in and of itself, but history could be made on the track today. 2 drivers in this race, Sam Hornish Jr. and Juan Pablo Montoya, have a chance to become the first drivers ever to win the Indy 500 and then go on to win the Brickyard 500. And one of those guys, Juan Pablo Montoya, Brickyard 400, I'm sorry, and one of those drivers is standing by with Hermie Sadler, Juan Pablo Montoya.
Well, Juan Pablo Montoya, so far so good for you guys this weekend. Got that good qualifying run. Can you turn that into a win here at the Brickyard?
I'll tell you the truth, you know, for the target team and everybody organized here, our main goal is, you know, this year has been making the chase, and I don't think this is an exception. I think if we've got a car to win the race and we're up front, then we're going to go for the win. But otherwise, I see it as a very good points day.
What about the difference in the tires? Obviously, a lot better than you were last year. You got to go back and work on your car. Handling and track position will be the difference today. What do you look for different from last year as far as the 42 car?
Well, last year we kind of, you know, this was still the beginning of the relationship with Brian. We were a little bit off in setups and things, and I think our cars right now are much better everywhere. So, you know, I think we came off the trucking. We have, you know, we touched the car a little bit. We haven't played with it too much because, you know, it's been pretty good every practice.
You're one of the few guys that can say you've driven an Indy car here and a stock car. For the fans at home that always ask the question, what's the biggest difference between driving one of those cars around here and a NASCAR stock car?
In one you're braking, the other one you're wide open all the time. It's very different, you know. It's actually a lot more going on than when you drive a cup car around here.
Juan Pablo Montoya making his way into the chase. He's been solid all year. Finds a way to get a top 10, JR. Look for the same thing today.
Yeah, you know, Hermie, the first time that Juan Pablo raced here back in 2007, he finished second. Not as good results the second time around, but guys, he was fast in practice. He's a chase contender, and it seems like himself and Brian Patty are really working well together.
You know, I'd like to be all analytical and everything, but let me just put it to you simply. One thing I like about Juan is he has quickly figured out NASCAR. You hear him talking about things like, you know, I just want to get into race for the chase. You know, and a year or two ago, he's like, I don't care if I wreck. I don't care. I just want to win. Now he's all different. Now he knows it's all about the race for the chase. So I think Juan, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, he's changed. He's wanting to win the championship.
Well, I also believe that Juan Pablo is a very credible driver. We've seen him win in IndyCar. We've seen him win in Formula One. And he has won already in Sprint Cup. But the thing is that Target Ganassi is basing the whole organization around him. And he's finally getting the results. That's the big thing that Chip Ganassi Racing needs. He's not been successful at all. This is the first year that they're really contending since the year with Sterling Marlin and he had his accident. But this has been a long time coming, and Chip Ganassi and DEI deserves this. And Juan's holding his end of the bargain up, and he'll have a good day today again, I believe.
Certainly one of the best drivers ever, and certainly with a chance to make history today. Winning the Indy 500 and the Brickyard 400 would be one heck of an accomplishment. Now, the drivers are making their way into the drivers' meeting right now. Certainly an important one because of what's on the other side, the trophy at the Brickyard 400. When we come back, we'll continue our history lesson of the Brickyard.
I've got a name for you, Rick Mast. We haven't heard a lot about the 400's first pole winner until now. Heading your way, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
To most of us, the city name Indianapolis means one thing, and that's racing, but there's a whole lot to do around this great city of Indianapolis, Indiana. There's the River Walk, and you know what? You never know who you might run into down there. How about the cat in the hat without the hat? Taking in some of the sights. Bet you didn't recognize him right away, did you, Spence, without the hat? Well, here's what we are here for today, and here's one place that Jack Roush has not won yet, surprisingly enough. He wants to get a victory here today, and so many legendary names have won here at this racetrack. We have Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, and Tony Stewart was kissing just about anything he could get his hands on because he was so elated to win at the Brickyard. Some of the drivers who have turned this Brickyard victory into a championship include the three top drivers in the sport right now, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon. They're looking for a repeat performance today. Now, here on race day, we always strive to bring the fans more, so why settle for just a plain old history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Today, we're going to give you a history lesson and a little bit more, courtesy of Speed's Robin Miller.
These lucky race fans just spent $3 to take a tour of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm sure they got to see a lot. But you folks are going to get a historic tour of the Brickyard 400, and it's not going to cost you a penny. In 1938, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Floyd Roberts did the astounding speed of 115 miles an hour when he won the Indy 500. 70 years later, last July, Jimmy Johnson topped him, 115.4. Today's NASCAR drivers require a lot of amenities: jacuzzis, pools, multi-million-dollar coaches. Our boy Joey Logano, he needs a swing set, a couple little dolls, a teddy bear, and a huggy toy. Our boy Jimmy Spencer, he applied to drive the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. He was rejected. They had two concerns. One, that he might crash it, but the real one, he might eat it. Most NASCAR drivers dream of cutting donuts after winning the Brickyard 400. Not our boy Juan Pablo Montoya. He just dreams of eating donuts. 20 years ago, Jeff Gordon used to come to Chris's barber shop and pay $2.50 to have his mullet reworked and that pathetic little Pepe Le Pew mustache chopped on. Well, nowadays he goes to Manhattan and spends $150 to have his hair perfectly coiffed. One thing's for sure, that picture was taken about 40 pounds ago. Okay, kids, that concludes our 2009 Brickyard history lesson. Hope you had a good time. Now I'm going to the drugstore to look for some of that anti-aging cream. Obviously, judging from Mark Martin, it works miracles.
Yes.
You know, I'm really sorry that Robin Miller had to get so dressed up to do that piece. What was with the shorts? And he's saying everybody else is a bunch of goofballs?
Hey, but I will say this. Our producer, Teddy Lakaitis, says we produce it while the drivers are in the drivers' meeting. So we don't want them to see
because they go out.
You know, there's a disclaimer on that thing. We don't own up to that idiot.
Yes, I think it goes like this. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of me, Jimmy, and Kenny. They're Robin Miller, and Robin Miller in and of himself.
We need
but at
Robin
least he has
Miller.
fun. I know, at least he has fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not that mean.
Now, he's not well liked in the garage area, I will tell you that.
Oh,
that's why you'll notice he wasn't in the garage. He was outside of the garage area, and that's where he is safe. We got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we still have much more coming your way from the Brickyard. We'll put our money where our mouth is and tell you who we think is going to win. We've got a great crowd with us out here at the speed stage as we get ready for the 16th running of the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard. Now, yesterday wasn't quite as beautiful as today, at least not in the morning, so qualifications, as they say here, was put back quite a bit, but nonetheless, when it came time to qualify, Indy 500 winner Juan Pablo Montoya put his number 42 machine second on the grid. Now, let's take a look at Bill Elliott in the number 21, qualified fourth, and what a story. That was a go-or-go-home car, and that's a former Brickyard 400 winner in Awesome Bill from Dawsonville. Now, take a look at Kyle Busch, qualified 20th, but don't write him off anytime yet because Kyle will make his way up through the field and contend. And how about the hometown hero, Tony Stewart, the Rushville Rocket from Columbus, Indiana? He will start 7th on the grid, and he says he has one of his best shots ever at winning this race. Let's take a look at Hendrick Motorsports, the most successful team when it comes to winning here, and this guy leads the way of everybody with 4 wins at this track. Jeff Gordon will start 22nd. That's a little farther back than he's used to, but nonetheless, he will make his way up through the field. Jimmy Johnson qualified 16th, not where they want to start. They say they have a very good brand new race car for this race, and he is the defending race champion. Good news for Earnhardt Jr. fans. He qualified 3rd despite fighting a stomach virus, as he will have a great view of this racetrack. And you know how quickly all the winless things will go off if he goes on and wins the Brickyard. And how about Mark the Kid Martin, the oldest driver ever to claim a pole position here at the Brickyard at age number 50. Mark Martin will start first in the 16th running of the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard. So way to go to Mark Martin. And you know, every track has its first race, first winner, but also the first pole sitter. And back in 1994, some people might not remember this, but the first pole was taken here by a quiet yet well-respected and well-loved Virginian.
Something was wrong with Rick Mast, and nobody knew what. The journeyman driver suffered unbearable headaches. In 2002, things got worse.
March 24th, never forget the day. We were at Bristol Friday for the practice, and I woke up that morning and I felt bad. You know, I just felt nauseated. Went to the doctor, you know, whatever, you got a bug or something. Every day it was just a little tick bit worse.
Racing is where hard hits are a badge of courage. But as searing pain and sickness became vertigo, memory loss, and hallucinations, courage could carry Rick only so far.
Finally, we went to the All-Star race in Charlotte, and I ran the 50-lap preliminary race. I called the car owner and the sponsor, and I said, I don't know what the deal is, but there's no way I could barely run 50 laps Saturday night. I can't run the World 600 Sunday.
Rick was a self-made folk hero who'd sold his prize cow to buy his first car. In time, dirt tracks led to racing's hallowed ground.
There will be a NASCAR Winston Cup stock car event here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, August 4th, 5th, 6th, 1994.
The Brickyard. For 2 years, that's all we talked about.
They came from everywhere. NASCAR! Officially, it was only a tire test.
We went up there for a so-called tire test, right? We rolled in there, dude, there's like 50,000 people in the grandstands. I'm like, this is a big deal, man.
In 1994, NASCAR returned for the first Brickyard 400, where a self-made racer was the first to make history.
Everybody wanted to be the first to do whatever the first you could do at Indy.
Under the shadow of the historic pagoda, Rick captured the first NASCAR pole in Brickyard history.
Man, it paid like $100 grand to win the pole. That was in 1994, and a customized van.
Starting next to Rick on the front row was an old friend and reigning champion, Dale Earnhardt.
We go out for the driver introduction. I'm on a car with Earnhardt, and we're riding around, and I've never seen so many people in one place in my life, and he had neither, you know. Because I remember Dale kept looking at me, saying, "You believe this? Can you believe this? Look at all these people here. Can you believe all these people here to see us, Rick?" I mean, truly, Dale Earnhardt was humbled.
A new tradition begins.
Finally dropped the green flag.
And the green is out.
All those thoughts, the sound, the people, all that's out of your mind, man. My big deal was I wanted to lead the first lap, and I know Dale did too.
Rick Mast has the lead as they come down the backstretch with Dale Earnhardt tucked in right behind him. Oh, he hit it pretty good.
If it had worked for him, he could have led, but it didn't work, so I led the first lap.
Rick Mast has become the first to lead a lap in the history of competitive stock car racing, and that's the first time he has ever led a first lap of any race.
And by the way, it's coming off the fourth turn of the second lap, I lose a cylinder.
8 years later, whatever haunted Rick's health had reduced his world to memories on a wall. Hope seemed doomed to follow old friends, lost too soon.
It's like 31 days I laid in bed. I mean, if I could keep a bowl of soup down or crawl to the couch in a day's time, you know, it was a good day for me. Finally, one of the NASCAR staff doctors was an ER doctor at Mayo Clinic. They did all their tests. They said, we suspect a link to carbon monoxide poisoning. You know, then it was over. It was just over like that.
Racing was Rick's life. Now that life was over. But the end of one road brought a new start, a new chance to start from the pole.
You gotta understand, when I got sick, I laid at home for 8 months. And I had never done that. From the time I was a kid, man, I was just never home. And I'm like, I never knew this life existed. Our twin daughters at that time were 7. And I said, okay, that's it. So I'm gonna watch the girls grow up. Go to 5 or 6 races a year. I'm in the garage area for like 10 minutes, and it's like home to me. When I leave after the event and driving home or going home, it's like pretty sad, you know? But once I'm home, it's over. You know, I'm not sad any longer, you know, because I have a wonderful life at home with my family and all, so that makes it much better.
From one Virginian to another, from Rick Mast to Hermie Sadler. Hermie, being from Virginia and watching Rick, you know, when you hear that story, everybody who works in this garage area and works in this sport knows that it's a traveling circus. It's a real family. Everybody's at the same place every weekend. So you can feel for Rick what he's saying.
I tell you, one of NASCAR's truly nice guys we've ever had in this business, not only because he's from Virginia, but nobody could ever say a bad word about Rick Mast. And when he got sick, at the time, he was driving for Junie Dunleavy. And when he got out of the car, he called Junie, and Junie gave me a chance, and I drove a couple races right after Rick Mast got sick. And I mean, I'll never be able to thank him enough, but he did a lot for our sport quietly and was a true, really good ambassador for NASCAR.
You know, one thing I'd like to say is Mark Martin, when he was driving in the Nationwide Series in that Winn-Dixie Ford, after the Nationwide races, Mark Martin would go to his motorhome and he would, you know, rent bottles of pure oxygen, and all the drivers started copying Mark Martin. They would go to their motorhome after the race, take a shower, and they would sleep with oxygen, or they would breathe it for 1 hour. You know, what has happened with Rick has happened to a lot of drivers in the past. Drive old race cars, the exhausts get up in there. And so Mark Martin was one of the first drivers to start breathing oxygen.
And he taught me a real cool word when you're describing how your car's handling.
Duping.
That's country.
Yeah.
That's country.
That's country. We can translate that for you a little bit later on in the show. Now, we're going to have also later on in the show, we're going to have Hermie's going to show us exactly what drivers do inside the race car to make sure that they don't get the same kind of sickness from the carbon monoxide. And Jimmy Spencer, you, like Rick Mast, are one of the few pole winners at this racetrack, and that has to be an absolutely huge honor.
Well, at the end of the day, it's pretty cool. I was driving for Carl Haas and Travis Carter, but, you know, Rick Mast says it best, you know, he has his family. And I love Rick Mast and watch his 2 daughters being born and his son. They got a lot of companies are working up there. Rick, we love you, buddy, and you do have your memories and you do have your family, and that's the most important thing. And I'm glad to see he's doing well, and there's life after this sport.
Yes, known as the Rickster. It was always fun to have him around the garage area. As a matter of fact, he helped us out here on NASCAR race day when it was known as NASCAR This Morning a little bit, did some funny pieces for us. We still have a lot more coming your way on NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. Some of the stars of the sport will come by and talk to us about what it means to win at this hallowed ground of racing.
The 24's in familiar territory. And after 19 races, Jeff fills Wendy in on his season so far and what to expect in 09's final months.
So I think this is a great time for us to regain some of that momentum that we had earlier in the season. I think we've got the team that can win the championship.
Coming at you, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
You know, when our good friend Jimmy Spencer is not in the garden or climbing a tree, he's probably playing crew chief and turning wrenches on the Advanced Auto Parts virtual cutaway car, and we recommend that you do the same. Go to speedtv.com and check out the Advanced Auto Parts virtual cutaway car.
Climb a tree, you said.
Well, someone told him to go climb a tree, and he did it. Now it's time for our Advanced Auto Parts Techsplanation. For more on driver safety, let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, JR. And much like when we had a bunch of accidents in years past, NASCAR came up with the car of tomorrow. We saw the story on Rick Mast, carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, we've all learned from that as well. Let me show you a couple items, thanks to Butch Fedewa and his folks at Hutch BSR. A couple of upgrades. Remember Jimmy Spencer years ago? Open face helmet, no skirt. Check this out. Now the drivers have a helmet with a skirt on the bottom of it. They can actually tuck the skirt in the top of the suit. Helps keep some of the carbon monoxide out. We got this cool box right here. We see it all the time. Keep drivers cool, but they've taken it one step further. Inside the fan that feeds this cool air box, a filter to filter out carbon monoxide before it ever gets inside the driver's compartment. Now, the next question is, where does this cool box go? Because crew chiefs are always worried about weight. They've lightened these things up. It's carbon fiber now. But one of 2 places. It'll either go right here on the passenger side of the race car, or if you've got a short driver, maybe like a Mark Martin, no offense, Mark, the seat will be up high enough you can put this box actually behind the seat and get more weight on the left side of the race car. So NASCAR and the drivers have done a lot over the years, thanks to guys like Rick Mast, to help improve carbon monoxide intake. Now NASCAR's all over this too. After a race, sometimes you can breathe into a tube that will measure the amount of carbon monoxide that you are retaining. They can also put a clip on your finger. It reads your red blood cells. You can check it before and after a race as well. And as Kenny Wallace said, a lot of drivers take oxygen after the race, on the airplane on the way home, even before the race, to cycle out that carbon monoxide. So everybody's ahead of the curve now, and everybody's much better off thanks to guys like Rick Mast, JR.
All right, Hermie Sadler, thanks a lot. Let's now take us a hot lap around this big, famous racetrack known as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And who better to ride with other than the Hoosier, number 14, Tony Stewart.
Down into turn 1, left front, right on the white line. Now listen, in the gas hard, but here's what I want people to listen. A lot of coasting, no brakes in those short shoots. Jimmy Spencer, no brakes in the short shoots, but down the long back straightaway.
And that's the key, Kenny. You hit the nail on the head, baby. No brakes entering turn 2 or turn 4. This here, to me, is a very different turn than turn 1. But once again, easy on that throttle, right to that white line. This, to me, is one of the trickiest places. Rick Mears, AJ Foyt, and all will tell you, turn 4. This wall just comes up on you quick as heck. Watch this thing, it's coming off. Just wham, right there it is. And then you come into this big funnel. Hermie, look at the amount of bleachers we're going to the start-finish.
Feels like you're driving down a tube, but this racetrack, even though it's 2.5 miles, guys, as you know, it drives a little bit like a short track. I mean, you got to get on and off the gas. You want to make up your time off the corners, and you've got more opportunities here to gain or lose speed because really you've got 8 corners here, Jimmy. You do have 8 corners in this racetrack. You can see that as you get to the bottom here, and this is a very famous racetrack, Johnny.
Let's jump up in the race car with one of the most famous drivers on the circuit, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and see what the driver has to work in the steering wheel.
Well, fans, did you watch? Here he goes into turn 3, and look at his hands on the wheel, pulling down on it. Now, this is turn 3. He keeps going down. Oh, wait, look at that. He straightens his wheel out. Why? That's the short chutes that they're all talking about.
Hey, at the end of these short chutes, turn 2 and turn 4, very important because much like Pocono, next week it leads onto those long straightaways. And coming off turn 2 and turn 4, Jimmy, probably 2 of the best passing zones we'll see. Yeah, there's no question that to me, if you don't get off of turn 2, you can't win this race.
Now, Jimmy, you were watching a final practice session yesterday, and you noticed something in the 5 car.
Oh, there's no question. If you watch this car, fans, and this is the key to winning here. Notice when he goes in here, his car is really free, but he has as much frontal grip right on that, below the white line. Now, look at the front of the car, down below the right rear. And that, the key. Watch this in turn 4. Right to the white line. Notice where his front end is. Always underneath him, always down. Not even close to that wall, baby, and pulling away major. The key to this racetrack is to get that nose of that car down. If you keep the nose down, the front tire's gripping, baby, you can get after it.
So where do you pass here, guys? Where's the opportunity?
Well, I mean, you can pass anywhere, okay? I've seen people go into turn 1, use heavy braking, and then get underneath somebody in the short chute. I say it's a daredevil move because what happens is you don't like to get scooted up off of that white line. Another thing is you've seen Tony Stewart. Get down as low as you can. That white line is just a line. Get underneath of it. That's what I call low.
Something else to watch out for today. Pit road is plenty wide, but these pit boxes are very, very narrow. I was on pit road before I came out here. I mean, these guys are going to have to get in their boxes perfectly because you can pick up or lose a lot of time on pit road. And you know the big thing, if you noticed there at the tail end of that shot, when you come off of pit road, this is the only racetrack, you don't go on the racetrack. Way far ahead of any other racetrack ever. They have an access lane. You hit pit road, you come down, and you're actually on 1 and 2 down 15, 18 feet off the racetrack, and you come all the way around, and you could do that off of turn 2. NASCAR will allow you on caution move up, and under green flag conditions, you can't exit until turn 2.
Quickly, some people try to get up a lot of speed Derek
Yeah.
Cope. Come off of turn 2, flew through the grass and on the racetrack.
Major wreck.
You have to be careful trying to go so fast when you leave pits.
And we got to say it once again because it bears repeating, no tire issues in any of the practice sessions so far. That's all we were talking about this time last year, but as of this year, no tire issues so far. So we're looking towards a great race today and also a great one at Pocono as well because it's a very similar racetrack as we head there next week as well. And you'll want to be there as Speed's coverage begins Friday from Pocono live at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll take you all the way through Victory Lane. And another guy who can make history here is coming up to join us soon. That was the 8th year of Jeff Gordon's celebrity bowling event held here in Indianapolis. It benefits the Riley Children's Hospital, and as always, the Jeff Gordon Foundation did a wonderful job, put on a great event. A lot of fun was had, but most importantly, a ton of money was raised to benefit the Riley Children's Hospital. And also on that day, not only did Jeff Gordon get to have fun by bowling, and by the way, he's pretty good at that too, he also sat down with our Wendy Venturini to give her the real deal behind his success so far this season.
All right, first off, Jeff, welcome back to work. It seems like a week can revive all of us. Did you get any chances to spend time with the family?
Oh, I got a lot of quality family time in, which was fantastic. And you know, that's those moments you cherish so much these days as a father. You know, such a hectic schedule all the time that being home 2-3 days a week and then traveling, and sometimes they're traveling with us on the weekend, or with me on the weekend, but sometimes they're not. And so that's tough. And she's 2 now, and you know, it's so important to spend that quality time. So she's having a blast, enjoying it.
It's hard to believe we're halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And it's really shaping up to be one of your most consistent seasons that you've had in a while, despite having only 1 win.
Yeah.
Top 10s, top 5s, week in and week out. How would you rank this season at this point right now as a whole?
Well, I mean, I compared to last season. You know, we had kind of a tough season last year, and you know, it certainly wasn't our best. And so, you know, it's been a great way to rebound and really pull things together and be as strong as we've been. I think we've got the team that can win the championship, but we need to show that we can, you know, win more than just one race.
Now, watching your teammate Mark Martin be so competitive this year at his young age, does that give you any thoughts of or hopes of extending your racing career?
First of all, you got to have Mark Martin talent. I mean, and Mark doesn't even admit it or realize it, and that's what I love about Mark.
Right.
But the guy is just extremely talented, always has been. And it shows just how, if you've got the mindset to be a good race car driver, how it can play out for a very long time in your career. But you've got to back it up with the physical side of it. So it's been an inspiration to me, you know, from that side of it as well.
I've heard you mention the word retirement, which kind of blew me away the first time I heard you say that word. Your 17th year in Cup, getting ready to turn 38 in 2 weeks.
Right.
What are your thoughts on retirement at this point right now?
Well, I never bring up retirement. Everybody else wants to bring it up. I think, you know, it's because I have been in the series for 17 seasons, and I haven't really thought of myself as racing, you know, at this level till I'm 50. It's a tough grind. It really is. I'm a dad now, and you know, I want to be competitive and battling for race wins and championships. And I'm not going to step away from the series as long as that's happening. And right now we're having a great year, and that's happening, so I'm not even thinking about anything that has to do with the word retirement.
We'll tell everyone, quit mentioning it to you then.
Yeah, tell them to stop asking me about it, and I'll stop talking about it.
This whole Drive for 5 theme that they've talked about, this year is really shaping up for you with the consistent finishes, like I had mentioned. How close are you, do you feel, of accomplishing that goal, that Drive for 5? What would that mean?
Yeah, that Drive for 5 has been haunting me for a while.
You want to get rid of that,
well,
too?
I don't really think of it as 5. I mean, I think, you know, Winston Cup championships are done. You know, I won 4 of those, and that was an unbelievable accomplishment. But the Sprint Cup it's a different championship. It's just as meaningful, as prestigious. In my mind, it might even be tougher to accomplish the way the point system is set up. So I'm really searching for one, you know, that first Sprint Cup championship. And we do have a great opportunity. We've got the team. We need to get a few more wins, not only for the bonus points, but just to show ourselves and the competition, you know, that we can, you know, win at different tracks, and we can win at this stage in the season and get ourselves in position with the momentum for the chase.
Talk about this weekend. We're here in Indy at track, your hometown track. You've won 4 times. It could be a Drive for 5 for you. What are your chances this weekend?
Well, I always love Indianapolis, and you know, everybody says it, that you step up your game an extra notch as a driver, as a team. You know, everybody just, they do. You know, it's a big event. It's the history, the prestige of it. Everybody wants to win, you know, this race. I'm excited about it. I mean, I think coming off of an off weekend, you know, I'm definitely rejuvenated and fired up and ready to go out there and get after it. I think we've got what it takes to pull it off.
And Jeff Gordon became the first driver in history to win at Indy, to go on after that to win the championship, and he did so in 1998. Now, starts 22nd today, but don't let that worry you, because in 2001, he started 27th and went on to win the Brickyard 400. Jeff Gordon hopes to make it a Drive for 5 here at Indianapolis. John?
Wendy, thanks a lot. Now, when you think about the guys that have won 4 races at this racetrack, Michael Schumacher, A.J. Foyt, the list goes on with Jeff Gordon. He's won 4. If he were to win 5 races at this racetrack, how huge would that be?
You know, I was listening to an interview with the great A.J. Foyt. I always tease everybody. They're like, hey, who are you? I'm like, I'm A.J. Foyt, 4-time winner of the Indy 500. I've said it since I've been a kid. So here's what I have to say. When you have people writing songs about you, like Nelly out of St. Louis, Jeff Gordon and the Black SS and the Navigation, my point is this. When you say A.J. Foyt, you must say Jeff Gordon. This kid came along when Darrell Waltrip was going out. You know, here he is from California, born in California, raised in Indiana. To me, Jeff Gordon is one of the greatest of all time. And now here's what's sad about it. Here's what's sad, is that when people quit is when you realize how great they are. What I say is enjoy how great this kid is, his focus, his talent. Sometimes the word talent means you're just darn good. Spence, he's good.
And that kid's going to be 38.
Yeah. I remember watching him on Wednesday night in the midgets and I said, but that guy's a heck of a racer. The thing that I admire about Jeff Gordon is what he's doing now. He's married and got a family, and he's doing so much for the communities. He's, you know, when I look at elite drivers, A.J. Foyt being one of them, and you can go down the list, the Unsers, and, you know, in our sports, Petty and Pearson, Earnhardt. The key is Gordon is doing a lot outside activities to help a lot of people. He doesn't have to do those things. That's what I admire about Jeff. He's not hiding in the cocoon. He's got plenty of money. He doesn't have to do this stuff, but he's doing it to make our sport better. And that's what I like about Jeff. Not just that he's a great racer, but he's a great person off the track helping the community.
Very good.
High class.
High class guy.
High class. Does not get more high class than that, than Jeff Gordon. That Jeff Gordon Foundation does a wonderful job every year with all the events they put together. You know, there's a lot going on in the garage area down here at the Brickyard. When we come back to NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, we'll take you into the middle of all the action. Welcome back, everyone, to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was 100 years ago that they took 3 million bricks and made one of the most famous sporting venues anywhere. So now, as we celebrate a century of speed, let's look back at the history of the famed Brickyard.
It's an impressive place, there's no doubt about it. When you drive in this place, you know the history of it. The fans up here, it'd be great to be able to have something, especially this historical, take place at Indy, and I'd like to be a part of it.
First time event, you know, I mean, can't miss it.
I think NASCAR's needed a race in the Midwest for a long, long time. And I can't think of a more appropriate track to run at than Indianapolis 500 track.
NASCAR entered the hallowed grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the first time in 1992. It was billed as a tire test. 9 of the Cup Series finest took to the track to see if the stock cars were race-worthy.
When I went out there and come by and made that first lap by myself and looked up and they did it again, it felt really neat.
It was great coming down the straightaway and there are all the grandstands up on each side and, you know, watching the Indy cars run here on TV and everything. I've never been at the racetrack before, and it's pretty good rush.
I took 3 laps the first time out, came in pale.
NASCAR and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway were impressed. Stock cars returned the next year for another test. This time, 31 cars made the trip, the last dry run before the real thing.
There will be a NASCAR Winston Cup stock car event here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, August 4th, 5th, 6th, 1994.
This is a great milestone, I think, in the NASCAR Winston Cup and NASCAR history. We look forward to many years to come.
The Chairman Emeritus of the Board of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mrs. Mary F. Holman.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
On August 6, 1994, history was made.
A new tradition begins. And the weight is out.
He hit it pretty good, and I'm sure that Richard Gillis and that crew are concerned.
Ernie Slip and Jeff Gordon gets alongside. Here's from today when 79 stock car races have been run here. We'll remember the name. Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400.
I'm a kid in a candy store with a big smile on his face. He's going to be there for a long time with a big wad of money in his pocket.
Dale Earnhardt looks for the checkered flag this time, and he sees it. Dale Earnhardt has won the second Brickyard 400.
I'm glad I'm the second man to won it, if not the first.
Dale Jarrett wins the Brickyard 400 for the second time. He wins in 1996 and again here in 1999. Labonte Texas wins the 7th Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis.
And now Bill Elliott joins the list of winners of the Brickyard 400 in Indy. And the California kid, Kevin Harvick, wins the 10th Brickyard 400. Tony Stewart, a native Hoosier, his dream comes true. Tony Stewart wins the All-State 400 at the Brickyard. Let the party begin.
I wish I could put it in words. It's today's been my entire life. So I feel like crap right now, but in 5 minutes I'm gonna feel really good.
Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards, mano a mano. Jimmy Johnson will capture his second All-State 400 at the Brickyard as he flashes across the start-finish line and wins by 3 car lengths over Carl Edwards.
Seems like 15 years ago was just yesterday as we take a look at the famous pagoda and the lineup grid for this year's 16th running of the All-State 400 at the Brickyard. Now, 1 year ago, it was a part of history that we don't really want to remember too much of. It seemed like it was 10 laps and a caution all day long because the tires were giving way under the weight and the center of gravity of NASCAR's COT new car. But this year, after exhaustive work, they have fixed the problem. Some of the greatest names in racing have won here. Kevin Harvick won from the pole. Jeff Gordon is a 4-time winner at this Brickyard race. Jimmy Johnson has won twice, and he is your defending champion of this race and the champion of the series as well. If you have a racetrack that's big enough to have a golf course in it, you know it's huge, and this place is absolutely beautiful as we get ready to run the 16th Brickyard 400. Let's take a look at the championship standings. And first, it's Hoosier native Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson. And gentlemen, those three have all gone on to win championships after winning Brickyards.
Yeah, and the big thing here is all 4 of those guys are past champions. But the thing here, Kenny, Denny Hamlin and Carl Edwards, where have they been? You know, neither one of these guys have won this year, and I would have bet money that these guys would have won by now, but don't count either one out today.
And right now, consistency is playing part because Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, even though they have not won, they are very consistent, and they're almost locked themselves in the chase.
Now for the rest of the championship contenders, let's send you inside for the Shell Garage Report as we start out with Wendy Venturini. Wendy?
Thanks, Johnny, and we'll start off with Ryan Newman, who's currently 7th in points. Now, he left Chicagoland Speedway 2 weeks ago with the top 10 finish, breaking a long week streak that he had outside the top 15. So he's hoping to turn things around today. We heard from him earlier on race day. He really is confident about his race car. He was fastest in that final practice yesterday. Now, 8th in points. Casey Kane moved up 4 spots from 12th to 8th. He was top 10 in practice and in qualifying for Casey Kane. Hopes to have a good day today. Juan Pablo Montoya, one of the favorites we're going to watch for today. We heard from him earlier also on race day. He starts on the outside of the front row. Now, Kyle Busch is 10th. That's the lowest in points he's been since our second race of the season back at California for Kyle Busch. Now, keep in mind, Kyle Busch has those 3 wins, but they're not going to do him any good unless he makes that chase. We heard from an optimistic Kyle Busch earlier this weekend.
We're still 10th in the points. You know, we're not evened up with everybody. So, you know, we had Chicago, which was a huge downside to our season, one of the biggest frustrating weeks, and you know, a lot of that could have been my fault, just not communicating with the team in the way that we needed to in order to get our car better throughout that race. And you know, I need to become a better person in being able to pull our team together and lead these guys and ultimately lead them back into the chase.
It sounds like he might have read Coach Gibbs' new book that just came out, Game Plan for Life. Kyle Busch being very optimistic, maybe turn things around as the chase gets closer. Now, Mark Martin, who's jumped high in the points again, of course has the wins that he has this season. Starting from the pole, a great race for Mark Martin today. I know a lot of people are going to be watching for him to get the job done, move up in points again. And as we look a little bit further past Mark Martin, we have a lot of Roush Fenway racing cars, 12th, 13th, and for more on that, let's head over to Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Wendy. A lot about the talk about Roush Fenway this year has been their inconsistency, their lack of going to victory lane. Let's start with Carl Edwards. He is 6th place in points, the highest among the Roush Fenway cars. Now, he starts here 41st, but he had a pretty good car in practice, but he needs to get it going. Everybody expected him to win multiple races by now. Just has not happened. He finished 2nd here last year, looking for a better run today. Now, Matt Kenseth, he's 12th in points, right on that chase line. He's got a good record here, 4 top 5s in 9 starts. Could be a big day for him. He needs it. DeWalt is not returning next year. Greg Biffle, been in the top 12 all year long until last weekend in Chicago. Had a bad race last week. He finished 31st. He dropped out of the top 12 last week, but he looks forward to the races coming up to try to get back in the chase.
All the tracks coming up I'm looking forward to. Certainly we run good at, we had a good run at Pocono, great run at Michigan, almost won. All the other tracks coming up are good racetracks for us. So I look forward to, running good for the next 6-7 weeks, and we'll get our way back in there.
Greg Biffle, mighty optimistic. Be a good day for him to turn it around. Now, the other 2 drivers in the Roush Fenway fold, Jamie McMurray, he's currently 19th in points. His status with Roush Fenway a little bit up in the air for 2010. His contract runs out at the end of this year. He's racing for wins only this year, and probably the biggest surprise or disappointment so far has been David Reagan. He is 30th in points with only 1 top 10 in 2009 after barely missing the chase in 2008. Wendy?
Now, I have to tell you, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been the center of attention this weekend because of a stomach bug that he picked up on Thursday. He's been pretty sick all weekend, but today on race day, things are turning around for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He was getting IVs throughout the weekend to give him some energy and also to replace some of those fluids he had lost since Thursday afternoon. Now, there was talk that Brad Keselowski was going to get in the car yesterday during final practice just to get a feel, just in case Dale Jr. was going to have to get out of the car today. That idea was scratched last night. Dale Jr. said that's a waste of time. I feel fine. He's going to sit in the car this whole entire race for the Brickyard 400. Who would want to step out of that race car? Dale Earnhardt Jr. looks forward to a day he starts 3rd. Hermie?
Well, thank you, Wendy. One more piece of news for the Joey Logano fans. He qualified 18th. He won early this year at Loudon. Greg Zipadelli and that team has won this race twice. He will go to the rear of the field today for an engine change. So his qualifying position gave him a pick on pit road, but he will start the race from the rear of the pack, JR. He'll have to come from the back to try to win at the Brickyard. JR?
Hermie and Wendy, thanks a lot for that Shell Garage report. And guys, what do you think about the more upbeat and positive Kyle Busch?
He needs it. I mean, let's face it, when they lost Tony Stewart at Gibbs Racing, they lost the leader. Every team has to be a leader, and Juan Pablo's the leader in Ganassi. Jeff Gordon's always been the leader in Hendrick. The key here, Kyle Busch stepping up to the podium and saying, you know what, I need to lead this team, because all these guys, some 200, 300, 400 people working in these shops, they look to these drivers for leadership. And Kenny, I think it's a step in the right direction.
And I'm really proud of Kyle. And when I think of Kyle Busch saying, look, I need to be a leader, obviously somebody said something to him. But you take Jeff Gordon, so young. He had Ray Evernham to be his friend and tutor him about, the drive for 5 and all these sayings. We must crawl before we walk. And I think that's what Kyle Busch needs. Steve Addington, his crew chief, is a great guy, but Steve's not a philosopher. So I think when you have a young kid like Kyle, you need somebody to philosophize. And I think Coach Joe Gibbs needs to do more of that. I think he needs to put his arm around him a little more and lead him a lot.
The most famous saying I've ever seen on the race team, refuse to lose.
Yep. That was Ray Evernham, yep. And they refused to lose when they came here, and therefore Jeff Gordon has 4 Brickyard trophies on his shelf, and he is going for 5 today. We could witness history in many ways, shapes, and form, but we're going to try to make a little history of our own. When we come back, we will tell you who we think is going to win, and we'll also talk to some of the drivers involved in today's race.
Next week, Carl's still looking for his first checkered of 09. Can last August's winner get back on track at the Scalene and pop the champagne? Or will another from our cast of characters steal the show? Live from Pocono, NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot.
This weekend, it's all about Indy, and it's also part of the Barbecue Shootout Series from Prilosec. And on behalf of those folks, we sent Rutledge Wood out in search of the best barbecue in the world.
So if you're in Indy and you're looking for a good time, the Prilosec OTC Barbecue Shootout Series has free barbecue for you to try, and then you get to vote for your favorite. And all these people are in line about to get some free barbecue. How do you like the barbecue?
It's great.
What makes it so good?
It's spicy, but not too spicy.
I think the sauce is what makes it.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good.
So, Leanne from Wood Chicks Barbecue, what makes your barbecue so good?
The dry rub, the wood fires, the slow smoking, and the love and care.
So you know if we're out here, Jeff Burton's going to come by and have a little fun with us. Tell me why you like to come out here so much.
Well, I think it's cool that all the fans come out and try the barbecue and get to kind of meet the pit masters and taste the different barbecues and the sauces from different regions. I think that's really cool, and what better product than Prilosec OTC to take before eating barbecue. It's just a lot of fun. The pit masters get really competitive. You can see their excitement and nervousness before the announcement is made. So it's just fun.
Mike Davis, Laudable Barbecue, what makes your barbecue so good?
It's all the love we put into it all night long, just for the fans.
So Bill and Barb, Texas Rib Rangers, what makes your barbecue so good?
Oh, because we've made it, and we're from Texas. Now, we make it with love, we have our own seasonings, and we just love what we do.
Love is the secret ingredient in barbecue. That's what we've learned this weekend, love.
Come on, we've been out here with the fans all weekend long. We love what we're doing. It doesn't get any better than NASCAR and barbecue. You know, being from Texas, everything's bigger and better.
Mike, you're going to grill some corn?
Going to roll it in a little mayonnaise, a little Parmesan, a little bacon bits.
So who are you guys voting for?
Red,
Yellow. Who are you voting for?
yellow, purple,
There's no purple.
red.
There you go, red. Are you going to finish that?
Yep. What else?
Are you going to finish that?
You can have
The Prilosec OTC Barbecue Shootout Series is a proud sponsor of the NASCAR Foundation. To find out how you can get involved, go to NASCAR.com/foundation. And certainly one of the favorites to win today is a guy who has had a great couple of practice sessions so far, the number 9 driver of Casey Kane. Let's now go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Casey Kane making career start number 200 today at Indy. Pretty good racetrack for you over the years. You got 3 top 10s here, and car looks pretty good this weekend.
Yeah, it's Budweiser Dodge has been fast, Friday, fast yesterday, so we just need to do that again today. It's a tough track, and things change a lot here, so you can get behind pretty quick. So we have to keep up with the racetrack, but yeah, we have a good starting spot. 200 start, it's went by pretty quick. And
you're getting old.
Yeah, I'm getting old. This went by fast, so we need to have a good performance today. I think, the Allstate 400 is such a big race for myself and our team, and with Allstate being a big part of Richard Petty Motorsports, I'm excited for it.
Well, you have an open wheel background as well, and everybody who's come from that background wants to win a race here at Indy. What would a win here at this racetrack mean to you and your career?
It'd be as big of a win as I could have, I think. I feel like I lived here for 3 years, raced sprint cars and midgets and things right around this area, and grew up watching the 500s, the 400s. Jeff, when he won his first 400, I was watching that. It's just a big race. It's the nicest, coolest place you can be in racing, and I'm just excited and happy that we're here, and hopefully we have a good car throughout the whole race.
And last question, the question we're asking everybody who's either inside the chase right now or just on the outside, how do you race knowing that, number one, you want to win this race, but also you've got to keep your eye on these guys in that top 12. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think, Saturdays are huge. The final practice, getting your car where it's raceable and drivable. You can pass cars, that kind of thing. That's a big part of Sunday. And we did that yesterday, and then just not screwing up. I can't screw up. The team can't screw up. We have to work together. And this team has done an awesome job in the last, all season really, but the last couple months they've been one of the best teams on pit road, if not the best team. And I'm just happy as can be to work with Kenny Francis and Keith every weekend. So it's good stuff.
These guys are on a roll lately, JR, working their way back into the top 12 and solidly in the chase right now. He's looking for a good run today here at the Brickyard.
Hermie, thanks a lot and best of luck to Casey. That number 9 car has won at this racetrack before, but it was back when Bill Elliott was driving it for Evernham Motorsports. For more on what's happening inside the racetrack, let's go back to Wendy Venturini.
Thanks, Johnny. A very cool thing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The crews, they usually throw a banner over the pit road wall, but here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, they actually paint the walls and then throw decals for each driver and their make. So you just saw Joey Logano, the number 20, the Home Depot Toyota. Now I was thinking that's a lot of work to be done from the time they picked pits yesterday to today, and I thought, is that really paint or is it decal? So I got down in dirty and came down here, checked it out. It is a decal, and I hope a yellow shirt doesn't come attack me here in a minute. But only here on race day do you find out that these are actually decals on the wall, but it is a very cool part of the Brickyard 400. Not many racetracks do this, and you only find it here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. John?
Wendy, thanks a lot. That kind of investigative reporting will make you go very far in this business. We'll be back with much more in a moment from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, including our fantasy picks. And I bet one of us picks that pole-sitting race car. Or how about the one right behind it? Who knows?
NASCAR Race Day is built by the Home Depot. Visit homedepot.com. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. Brought to you in part by Advance Auto Parts. Keep the wheels turning. And by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at Bank of America Banking Center today.
Miles if you can make it that far. The 14, the 48, the 24. Pedal to the metal, they want to win it once more. Rev it up, summer's hottest race. Everybody headed for the chase. Cross the finish line, thank the pits. Winner's circle, kiss the brake. Hey, hey, it's race day. Stars and stripes and high octane. Hallelujah, bow your heads and pray. RVs, crew chiefs, every fan upon your seat. I love it when I see that flag man wave. Race
Now that simply has to get you fired up for racing. Now it's time for our fantasy picks, and by virtue of his points leading 2,800 and 5 points, the Herminator, Kenna Wallace, gets to go first. Kenny, who do you think is going to win this Brickyard 400?
Well, last night I got 2 texts, one from Mark Martin, my friend, and Kevin Harvick, my friend, and they texted me on a great finish. So I'm picking both of them, but they won't let me pick both. But anyway, Mark the Kid Martin. We call him the Kid because that is his nickname. When he was brought into the sport, they said he's just a kid. So it's Mark the Kid Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, will win at 50 years old. Wendy Venturini.
Oh, I was just twittering all my friends that are race car drivers, Kenny, but I'm not going to name drop who I'm picking. Okay, this is who yeah, I know, right? You know Kenny's twittering during the show. The guy that's going to win today, Smoke. Tony Stewart, going to be in victory lane. He's done it twice here at the Brickyard 400. He's going to get it again at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the first time as an owner driver. Smoke is going to smoke them. He's going to remain as the leader of the point standings when we leave here, and what a Memorial Day it will be then. Hermie, who are you going with, my friend?
Both of you guys are wrong. I love both of you, but the guy who is way, way overdue, the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. He's had a fast car all year, had a lot of bad luck, but he was really good in practice. It's a time of the year for Denny Hamlin to step up and get this car to victory lane. He will do it today. JR?
Hermie, thanks a lot. So I'm watching the local news on Friday morning. They go in the infield, ask a guy who he's pulling for, and he said he's pulling for Casey Kane. And the girl says, why? And he goes, because I like Budweiser. Well, that's not the only reason you should pull for Casey Kane, even if you do like Budweiser. This guy has finished second here before. He has had 2 top 5s, and he was second in 05. Casey Kane is going to be the winner of this race today, and the king is going to be back with Casey in victory lane, Mr. Spencer.
Well, let me tell you guys all this. My record will be broke today. I finished second place in this car when I drove it, and history will be made. He will be the first guy to ever win the Indy 500 and the Brickyard 400. Juan Pablo Montoya. No question in my mind, the guy is long overdue. He's got it figured out, And I love his attitude, baby. Take no prisoners. That's what you need to do at Indy. Look out, baby, for Juan Pablo.
Yeah, he says, so I reckon. Get over it. Let's recap the picks and see who has got whom. The Herminator has the 5 car, then it's Wendy with the smoke. The Hermalicious one has Denny Hamlin, and then it's the 9 and the 42 by Mr. Excitement.
I'm upset today.
Why?
Well, we're at the Brickyard, but Mark Martin takes me off the pole. Juan Pablo's going to win today in the target car, and I got second. I'm very upset today. I'm not looking forward to today's race.
There's no reason to be upset, Jimmy Spencer.
But Spence, you were darn good at this racetrack.
I love Indianapolis, baby. You fans, stay tuned. I'm telling you what, this is going to be one you'll remember today in Indy. There's no question in my mind.
And there is a good chance, race fans, that we may go from perhaps the worst Brickyard 400 ever to the best one ever.
Double file restart shootout style.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot, and be sure to join us in Victory Lane tonight.